Hey there, this is Dan with the Biblical Business Fellowship, and today I am going to run you through a tutorial of how to connect your Sweep and Go lead form plugin to your Go High Level account. And this is absolutely fantastic. If you don't have a Go High Level account yet, do message either Emma or Seth. They'll get you all set up. It is free for any members of the forum, so feel free to reach out and we'll get you set up. And having the attachment is very, very handy. It will let you automate your follow-up with your inbound leads. So you can have Go High Level send them out text messages, emails, even call them, and it's all automated. It's not AI, but it is fully automated, so you don't have to step in and do anything at all with it. The system will handle all of it on its own. So it's very, very handy. It'll let you completely automate your follow-up pipeline. Takes a lot of the stress out of having to go back and touch leads over and over again. Additionally, we've found that as far as the lead process goes, leads are far more likely to convert if we can reach out to them within about 4 minutes of them submitting that form. So having that automated is super handy. And I know that Seth is going to, in the future, go through and walk everyone through how to set up a couple of different options as far as your pipeline goes. So having this in place will let you really just get a head start on that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go in and we're going to do a little bit of prep work, and this is to make sure that the connection goes smoothly. So in your Go High Level account, you're going to go down to your settings here, and we are going to go to the custom fields option. And in custom fields, you can put them in one at a time like this, but what I always like to do, just to make things a little bit easier, is go into this folders tab here. And then you've got 3 sections. You've got your contact section, your general info section, and your additional info section. For this tutorial, all of the fields that you're going to need, I've put here in general info. So here you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff already in there, but the most important ones that we're going to be looking at here are these last ones that I have in here. Quote number of dogs, quote cleanup frequency, quote last cleaning, and number of quotes requested. Now that last one's going to be kind of a bonus field. That'll be the last thing I'll show you how to configure. But so for right now, we're concerned about these 3. So what you want to do, when you're in the folder that you would like to drop them into, you'll come up here to this add field. And from here, you pick the type of field that you want to add. Now, most of these are going to be single line. The only one that will be different is actually the number of dogs, and that's going to be number. But single line will be most of them. So once you've selected the type, you hit next. You type in the field name. So for instance, we'll say quote number of dogs. And then you just hit save, and that'll completely create it for you. You don't have to worry about doing anything else there. Now, I'm not going to save it because I already have these fields created. But so there are going to be 3 fields that you need to create. And of course, the 4th is a bonus field. Quote number of dogs, quote cleanup frequency, quote last cleaning, and number of quotes requested. And now I'll have all of these in the write-up, so you don't have to worry about memorizing these or anything. I'll have information that you can literally just copy and paste. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to need to go over to our WordPress site. And I'm in our WordPress backend here. It's WP admin. And this tutorial will only work for WordPress sites that are using the Sweep and Go client onboarding plugin. You could probably go through and do a little bit of customization if you need to, if you have something else going on that, you want to use this for. But if you follow this tutorial step by step, it'll only work for Sweep and Go client onboarding plugin folks. So what we're going to want to do here is we are going to go and we're going to say code snippets. This is the add plugins section. I suppose I should show you how to get from the dashboard to here before I do that, actually. So when you first log in, you're going to be looking at your WordPress dashboard. It'll probably look something like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down until you get to your plugins section. Then you're going to go to Add New Plugins. So, once you're on Add New Plugins, you can search for code snippets. There we go. And this is the one that we're looking for. WP Code, WP Code, insert header and footer, plus custom code snippets, WordPress Code Manager. Again, I've already got this installed, but you'll hit the Install Now button on this plugin. It'll run for a couple of minutes, and then it'll be installed. You just hit the Activate button once it's installed, and it'll be up and running. And what that's going to do is that is actually going to, over on your side here, add a new tab, which is code snippets. Once you get that code snippets thing, once you can see this link here, you're good to go as far as the code snippets go. Now, what you're going to do next is you are going to need a specific key called an API key, and that's going to be required in order to get everything hooked up together. So we're going to go in here, and we are going to go to Business Profile. And once we load up our business profile, if we just scroll down in this left-hand column here, you're going to see a field that says API key. Now, when you first get here, there won't be a key already in existence. There's going to be a button that says Add API Key or Create API Key. I'm sorry, I actually don't remember which one it says, but you're going to click that, and it's going to generate an API key for you. Then, right here, this button, if you click this, it's going to copy that API key to your clipboard. That way you can post it when you need it, and you will need it a little bit later. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to create a little bit of code. Now, in order to do this, I personally suggest going to DuckDuckGo and downloading this program, Visual Studio Code. And this is going to be necessary for a step that we're going to need to do a little bit later on, but it's going to make this step just a hair easier. So you go download for Windows, and it's going to bring up an installer. You just download it and let it install. And all this is a code editor. Now, you won't need to know any actual code for this. I'm going to walk you through the code that I'm using, but that's just so that you can get an idea of what exactly it is, how it works, and how you can customize it if need be. But by and large, I'm going to put the same code snippets that I'm using directly into the description, so feel free to look for those down below. So if you're not particularly technical or just don't really care about the method of implementation, then feel free to skip over this. I'm going to put a couple of timestamps in the description as well, so that you can just jump past this point. But once it is installed and up and running, you can go ahead and open it up. And there is a lot of code here. It looks very intimidating, but I assure you it's really not too bad. And like I said, all of this, you can feel more than welcome to just copy it and paste it. I'll have all of this in the description. So what we are going to do from here is we are going to go ahead and create our script. And what this is a JavaScript tag, and it's going to listen on our site. I'll go to our site here. And go to our quote page. Once it loads, there we go. And it's going to listen for this button right here being clicked. And when this button gets clicked, it's going to grab all of the form values out of this field. The cell phone number, the last time the yard was cleaned, the cleanup frequency, how many dogs they have, and of course what zip code they put in. And it's going to shunt all of this information over to your Go High Level account and create a brand new contact. And what that'll allow you to do is if you want to trigger a workflow in Go High Level to, say, wait 4 or 5 minutes, just in case they sign up automatically, and then fire off an automated text message to them, or an automated email, or an automated phone call, it'll let you do that. So that's definitely where this whole process comes in handy. It's a little bit complicated, but I assure you it's absolutely worth it. Having that automated contact really takes a load off your shoulders, makes it a lot easier for you. You don't have to worry about remembering to poke different people at different times. Go High Level will take care of all of that. And honestly, it has made a huge difference for us in terms of conversions. So it's definitely something that's worth setting up despite the difficulties. So back to our code here. So the code that I have has a few of these comments in it. If you're not used to looking at code, these lines that are entirely in kind of a dark green, these are comments. These are just explaining what's going to happen as the code executes. So all we're really doing is we are overriding our event listener for a button click. So that's all we're actually doing here. We're grabbing the event listener. We're checking to make sure that it's on an HTML element. We're checking to make sure that the HTML element is the sweep and go free quote button. And then it's going to store the original function because we'll need to call that at the end. And then down here, this is our new function. This is the function that we replace that old function with. So we are first copying down the values from the form. So this is all of your information. The next thing that we are going to do is do a little bit of formatting the phone number specifically. This field right here, the one that has the words the word token in the angular brackets, that is where you're going to paste your token from Go High Level. So this API key right here, you're going to copy that in clipboard. You're going to paste that right here where it says token. You'll just take out the angular brackets and the word token, paste it right there. So that's where that goes. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to scroll down. And this right here is the API address to create a new contact using the Go High Level API. So when it submits, it's going to submit the information to that URL. Now, all of this is going to happen behind the scenes, so your clients aren't going to see any of this. They're not even going to know that this is happening. It's all going on in the background. Down here, we have the basic setup for our request. We have a headers object that's going to store a little bit of information about the request. This is one of the places where that token is used. So right here, it's telling it that it is a bearer token authorization type. So when it goes over to Go High Level, it's going to look to make sure that your token is sitting right here. And as long as your token is sitting right here, that's your authorization saying that the request is valid, that the request is good, that's what you're looking for. But if the token is missing, then it's not going to work correctly. The next header that we set is the content type. Which is application/JSON, and that just means that we're sending JSON data over to the API. Now, next, this is going to be the part that if you're going to be customizing anything, it's likely going to be right here. So this right here tells Go High Level what you'd like your new lead to look like, So we're going to send it the formatted phone number. We're going to send it over the zip code. I have it automatically tagging everything as lead, and that's because if it's coming in from the lead form, I don't want Go High Level thinking that it's a current client. I need it to know that it's just a lead. You could use anything in this field here. Any separator or differentiator that you want to use will work. You can also, if you want to tag it multiple ways, you can actually put multiple tags in. So you could say WordPress. So now it will have the lead tag and the WordPress tag. So you can put as many as many tags as you'd like in there. This last section is our custom field section. So this is where we put in the data for those custom fields that we set up earlier. So these are the IDs for those fields. And I'll show you how to get those in a little bit here because it is a little bit complicated. So these are the IDs, and then these are the values that we want to drop into those IDs. Next up, we have the options for the request. The method is post. The headers are the headers that we set up before. The body is the raw data that we created right here. And redirect is set to follow. Then we are going to drop in our fetch request, and this is what's actually reaching out to the API. Then the last step is that we're actually going to decode the response as JSON, which is what's happening right here. Now, this line right here that has these 2 slashes at the front of it, if you're doing any kind of technical debugging and you need to see what the response looks like, you can just delete those 2 slashes, and it'll actually write to your console what the results are. But again, if you're not interested in the technical end of things, feel free to just leave everything here as is. That's perfectly fine. The only things that you're going to need to worry about updating in this entire thing are this token field right up here and these custom field IDs. Other than that, all of this should be able to go directly into your WordPress instance without any issue at all. The rest of this, we then bind the function as is correct, we call our original function, and we apply the changes. And that's the end of the custom code. Now, what we're going to do with all of this, and again, you can copy all of this from the details section down below. I'm going to have both versions. There will be a second version that I'm going to go over in a little bit here. I'll show you what the changes are. But what you're going to do in your WordPress instance is you are going to go to your code snippets right here. You're going to go to the header and footer section. And it's going to load up a couple of windows. You're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of your header code. And you are going to drop in everything here. Copy it, paste it, and you're good to go. That is now in your WordPress. You'll hit Save Changes. This will fire off at the start of every new session. So it'll bind to that button if that button is available. So once that's squared away, we need to get the IDs for these custom fields. So in order to get the IDs from the custom fields, we're going to go back to VS Code here. And we're going to go down to this set of block-looking things over here with the one separated. If you hover over it, it'll say extensions. It'll give you a little tooltip. And you click on it. And you're going to search in extensions, and you're going to search for Thunder Client. Okay? And here you can see Thunder Client. And what this is this is actually an API testing application. It is made to test your APIs, but in this case, we're actually going to use it to get all of our custom fields so that we can get the IDs. So you'll hit the install button. You can see what the install buttons look like down here. I've already got this one installed, so it's just prompting me to restart instead of installing. But once it finishes installing, over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see this little button pop up. This is the Thunder Client button. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to click New Request. Excellent. Now, this is the new request section that you'll need to make. I'm going to swap over to this because I already have a request all set up. This will be the URL that you use. You need to make sure that this dropdown is set to the word get. There's a couple other options. Anyone who's familiar with APIs and HTTP requests will probably recognize these, but just make sure it says get, which it should by default. The other thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to click on headers, and you're going to need to add a new header. It's going to say authorization, bearer, and then your token. And all of this, I'm going to have this all typed up in the description. So you're welcome to just go down, copy it, and paste your specific token in. Once you've done that, you don't have to worry about any of these other tabs. These are for other request types. The only thing that you have to worry about is just get the URL and that header. Then hit send. Over here, you're going to see it's going to say processing for a few minutes while it reaches out to go high level. And when it's done, you're going to see a very, very long list of fields. And this is the fields for every part of your go high level. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it's in the order that they were created. So you're going to see the most recent fields that you've created down here. So quote number of dogs, quote cleanup frequency, quote last cleaning, and number of quotes requested. So that's perfect. The thing that we want out of these is going to be this ID up here at the top. So you're going to copy that ID, and now you're going to go back here, and come down, and here we are. You'll just paste it in. That's your number of dogs. This right here is the requested cleanup frequency. This right here is going to be your last cleaning date. And last but not least, this right here is going to be the number of quotes requested. So we'll go ahead and put that in. Excellent. Now we can recopy this, and once more in here, we can just replace the script tag that we had with our new script tag. And then we'll save the changes. Now, that's perfect. That's going to set this all up for you. So now it should run and it should populate. So let's talk about what this actually does. If we go back over to Go High Level here, we go in and we open up our contacts. I have created a dummy contact using this right here. Excellent. So right over here, you have all of your details about your contact. Now, unfortunately, the default Sweep and Go form does not capture names or emails, so you won't have a name or an email in there. If you are using a customized contact form, you'll be able to capture those as well, but it will require some editing to the base code, so that's a little more complicated. But you will see it captures the phone number. It will list API v1 as the source. The contact type is automatically set to lead. Now, that'll happen in my system because I have a smart list set up that classifies anyone who is tagged with the lead tag as a lead. And if you remember, we told it that we wanted the tag to be lead. Additionally, if we scroll down, we'll see the zip code, the time zone, and we'll see the number of dogs, the frequency that they requested, when the last cleaning took place, and in my case, you'll see number of quotes requested. We have not set that up yet. However, I will show you how to set that up as kind of a bonus in just a second here. And this will allow you to trigger all kinds of bulk actions just off of these fields. So if you want to send out a text message a few minutes afterwards, every time one of these gets created, if it's a lead, you send out a text message. Very, very simple. And again, Seth will run through how some of the automation works. He'll give you a little bit more of a rundown of how you can set that up, and that way you can get this going on your end as well. I think he's even planning on sharing a few of those automations. So the final thing that I want to show you is going to be this right here. And this is how we reach out and increment that number of quotes requested field. And it's a little more complicated, but again, I'm going to paste all of this code directly into the description. So feel free to just copy that code if you'd like, and then you'll be good to go. So down here, the major difference is going to be right here. After we do our token, we're going to reach out to a slightly different URL. And this is the URL to get an existing contact from Go High Level. So we're going to set up our headers. Again, we need to have that authorization bearer token, but you'll notice that we don't need to have a content type this time, and that's because this is going to be a GET request, so there's no body with it, so you don't have to worry about that. So down here in the options, you'll see we're using our headers, we're using our redirect follow, and our method is GET. We're going to reach out and get the raw version of the exists, and then we're going to convert it to JSON. And what this is going to do is this is going to reach out and query our contacts, and it's going to look for anyone whose phone number matches the phone number that's been put into the form. Now, if it finds anybody, if it sees a contact that is in existence in the system already, then it's going to come down here and it's going to iterate through the contacts. It's going to grab your very first contact, and it's going to run through the custom fields in that contact. This right here, you'll need to replace that with this ID, the ID for your number of quotes requested. So it's going to look for that number of, wrong one. It's going to look for that number of quotes requested field. And if it finds that field, then it's going to say, hey, we're going to increment how many quotes have been requested by how many quotes there currently are. So if they've already requested 2 quotes, this defaults to 1. it's going to add 2 quotes. So you're going to end up with 3 quotes in this. After that, the rest of the workflow is exactly the same. It doesn't change from there. So the only difference between those 2 versions is that if you use the second version, every time that the customer implements a new quote request, this number right here is going to go up by 1. Now that's really handy because if you have it automatically sending out text messages to follow up with your potential leads, you don't want to spam them with text messages. You know how it is. Clients are going to come in, they're going to submit multiple quote requests because, let's be honest, they might want to be a little shady about how long it's been since their last cleaning, or they might want to see how the price will change if they tell you they have a slightly bigger or smaller yard, or more or less dogs, or, how the quote or how the price will change if they change the cleaning frequency. So rather than spamming them with a whole bunch of text messages, you can actually have Go High Level look at this number of quotes requested, and if it's higher than 1, you can tell it that you don't want to send out that initial that initial text message anymore, or you don't want to send out that initial email anymore. So it just lets you have a little more fine-tuned control over how exactly you want to reach out to clients who are messing around with the form a little bit. It also gives you a little more control later on in the process of knowing exactly what it is that's causing them issues. If you can look back at the quote request history and say, okay, well, I see that they've been messing around with the field that controls the cleanup frequency, or it looks like they've changed the number of dogs that they have, you can pretty well guess that price is going to be the driving factor for them. So if that happens, then you can kind of custom tailor your interactions with them to know this is someone who's going to be driven by a deal. But ultimately, all of this is to say that once you get this all set up, you'll be able to reach out and automate the entire sales process from here. You'll likely have to do some talking at some point, but you can at the very least automate the reach out process, which is extremely handy because it lets you control exactly how often and how many times someone gets reached out to after they submit that form, without you having to personally remember what stage of the process they're on. But once you get this taken care of, you just save the changes to your header and footer, and you are set to go. Now, I do encourage you to immediately go out to your website and try it, just in case. In the event that anything goes wrong, if it does cause any kind of breakage, you can remove that tag that you put in from your header here. I suggest doing so immediately if that happens, but that way you can kind of, control the way things are happening. But yeah, definitely give it a try, see how it goes for you. If you do have any questions, I encourage you to reach out to either Seth, Emma, either Seth or Emma, and they'll let me know, and I can reach out to you and kind of walk you through fine-tuning it, or if there's any kind of troubleshooting that needs to happen, we can troubleshoot it. But other than that, you should be all set and good to go. Thank you very much, and have a blessed rest of your day.